before we start though is I always ask about. Usually, people ask about want to have like so delicious or swig or something like that. So I can
Oh yeah.
ask about their drink. But you tell me your drink. We'll start off what your drink you got, why you got the drink, and then what year, what school you went to, what year you graduated. We'll jump into it.
So my drink, I've got some electrolyte zero. It's an electrolyte drink. It's my favorite drink right now, just because I'm out coaching a lot,
Ooh, in
and
the heat.
I'm out there in the heat all the time, drinking a ton of water, but not getting a ton of electrolytes. So just trying to stay hydrated.
Nice, I like it. All right, now tell us what school you went to and what year you graduated.
I went to Mountain View High School, graduated in 2012.
2012. You're 2 years younger than I was.
Yeah.
Oh dang. Okay. All right. Let's talk about let's talk about Mountain View.
Let's do it.
Um, Back in the day, kid, you played football, and I know you kind of you took that to college. So I'm really interested in hearing that. But tell me about your experience during high school with football. Was the plan always to go to college? Were you trying to get to a higher level beyond that, or how'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, at Mountain View, that was like as a young athlete, I had a single mom. Like I felt like my only way out was football,
Oh, really?
and so I did do a ton of like training all throughout high school. Played all these different sports. Played football, did wrestling, played rugby, threw in track. Um, but the biggest reason was to make it easier on my mom, who was working two jobs, three jobs at times, even during high school. And I'd go throw like paper routes with her in the morning. I wake up early. I'd go with her to help her with the paper route, and then I'd get dropped off at school and stuff like that. But like
So
it would,
right before you went to school, you were doing that?
yeah, yeah, a lot of the times. And the main reason why football was my focus was because I felt like it was my only way out. Um, just because of like the life I was living, or the way I was raised,
Mm-hmm.
and the situation that we were in. So, um, going on from that, I was able to have a pretty successful career, and I feel like I've been able to have a pretty successful career because of the big focus that I had on football and the lessons that it taught me for the rest of my life.
Your mindset got you into it, right?
100%.
Tell me more about your high school career. How First off, how'd your senior year go for high school? Did you get a lot of offers, a lot of looks? How'd that part of your high school career work out for you?
Honestly, I didn't get very many looks. Um, I was always going to all the different camps. I was lucky enough to get, put into different camps because my cousin was coaching up at Utah. He helped me get in up there at their camp. I was able to help getting into the all poly camp.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my career, like we had an okay season. It wasn't like it was we did win
Mm-hmm.
more than we lost, but it was just an average season. We went first round playoffs, lost.
Oh, you actually got to
Um,
the playoffs.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
but
Who'd you guys go up against?
Spanish Fork or Springville,
Oh, gotcha.
one of the two. But we didn't go very far. And my only offer after that was to Southern Utah University.
Mm-hmm.
But then after my mission, re-signed with Weber State because the coaches who recruited me to SUU were up at Weber State when I got back from my mission.
Oh, switched over there.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on that? Were you okay with that switch?
I was okay for a few different reasons. The coach who did recruit me, who was the only guy to recruit me out of college,
Uh-huh.
had moved from SUU to Weber State. So I was pretty loyal to him more than I was
The
to
actual
SUU.
school. Yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
And then I had one of my cousins. He was coaching up at Weber State, who now coaches at BYU. And then one of their D line coach at Weber State was a Tongan guy, spoke fluent Tongan. I just got done serving my mission in Tonga, and so I was just really,
Kind of just connected. It just
yeah.
made sense, right?
I had a lot better connection with everyone up at Weber State.
Weber State. So, what position did you play in high school versus what position you played in college?
Man, throughout my whole career in Little League and high school, I played center, and then my senior year, I played both ways, center and junior year, or senior and junior year.
Uh-huh.
I played center and D tackle,
Ooh.
and then
You played
going
both
into
ways the whole time.
yeah, and then going into college, I just played D line.
And were you okay with that, or did you like? What did you like more, offense or defense?
I like defense more.
Oh, really?
Um, I I just like taking on double teams or whatever, taking on the block and being able to get in there on the tackle. I like that more than like the
Offense and sit
technical
back.
offensive side. I feel like I was able
Very,
to let loose a little bit more on the D line.
for sure, very technical with O line. I talk to a lot of people who play O line. It's like you have to be on your game. It's such a mental game, is what I hear. I mean, obviously physical too, right?
Right.
Jeez. So, uh, translate translating high school play to college, was that an easy transition for you to get into, like competitive wise, and like the people you were
Um,
playing with?
I mean, not really. I did have. I lucked out. I had some really good coaches and some really good teammates. As I started my first year at Weber State, my teammates that I was living with, um, they all had that mindset, that grind mindset of like just do everything you need to do, be consistent, and your time will come. And so we were always talking about that and just motivating each other. Um, I spent a lot of time. I'm more of like a smarts guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, wasn't even the biggest. I was probably one of the shorter interior D linemen.
Before you keep
Um,
going, tell us how your size right now, because you're a big dude. You're tall. You're big, but you're saying you were on the smaller side there.
yeah, for sure. I was definitely on the smaller side when it comes to height. Um, Most of those guys are like 6'3", 6'4". I'm barely past 6 foot.
Okay.
And so um, it was just, a little bit of a height difference. I was slower compared to all of those other D linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Strength wise, I was pretty strong. I would say I was one of the stronger guys in the weight room on the
Okay.
team, but um, where I really excelled was my smarts. I knew on every play what every position, not just the D line, but I knew what the linebackers were doing, what the DBs were doing.
Oh,
I
wow.
knew where they should be based off of the play and based off of the offensive formation. I watched so much film. Like I probably watched um, more film than I did, anything else. Like that's what I spent majority of my time doing um, during college, and so I think that's why I was able to, come in as a freshman. Spring, I was the last string, but going into my freshman year, I ended up starting as a freshman up at Weber State, and
You
then
worked your way up, dude.
worked my way up and started all 4 years.
No way. That is super impressive. Super impressive. So tell me about, as you're getting to your senior year, what was the plan for you at that point? Were you wanting to take it to the next level, or how'd that look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. I did want to take it to the next level. Like it was always my goal. Um, I knew that going to the next level would help me, get out even more um, than just a college degree and set me up. That really set me up for the future that or the life that I'm living right now and my occupation and everything that I'm doing right now. But I knew that if I were to go to the NFL, that set me up even more. So that was a goal. That was something I was shooting for.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, due to mental state and injuries, I wasn't able to get past pro day and make it to the next level.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a harsh reality, right? There's some statistic out there that just says a tiny, tiny amount of people actually make it to the NFL, and then those that do make it actually play and make a huge name for themselves. The fact that you got to the college level, though, I think is speaks volumes for the type of athlete that you were. Just super impressive. So when that did happen, what were you? What was your next step then? The transition. How'd you get into Mountain View, and how did that door open for you?
Honestly, um, so I started coaching at Mountain View just a year and a half ago. So
Oh, okay.
after the dreams of the NFL had been kind of crushed, and um, I came to that realization, dealt with whatever I had to deal with mentally to know that I've got to move on. I hit up my
Oof.
buddy who was the student body president at Weber State while I was playing ball there, and he had graduated like a year earlier than I. We became really close. I hit him up after you know, accepted everything, and he had started up a little tech company,
Hmm.
a little software company. He co-founded it with another guy, and they were just needing to start up the sales side of everything.
Hmm.
So I graduated at Weber State with a sales and merchandising degree. He was like, "Hey, I'm looking to start up the sales side." So he brought me on and another guy on. We were like employees 3 and 4.
Super early on then.
Super early on, they had just done a pre-seed round of funding,
Hmm.
um, and then we took that. We crushed that. Took that from like not like 4 employees to when we left it was like 150 employees. We raised like 80 mil. It was valued at like 350 mil when we had left the company to start up the company that I'm running now, which is a marketing agency, and that allowed me to come back down to Orem, because the last company was up in Ogden.
Okay.
But it allowed me to come back down to Orem where the roots are, and kind of work from home and build the company out here. And while I was out here, one of my nephews or my cousins was playing at Mountain View, and I
Hmm.
was over there watching the game, and ran into Coach Herring because he's still
Mm.
coaching over there.
He's still there.
He's still there,
What?
a legend.
That's unreal.
But I ran into them, and they were like, "Hey, we don't have a D line coach. You had a successful career, All American, D1, accolades, whatever it is."
Yeah.
And
Just downplay it. It's whatever.
yeah, and they were just like, "Would we don't have a D line coach? Would you, be willing to come help us out?" So
What were
I
your
jumped
initial
on.
thoughts with that? You were just like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna jump into that.
I mean, I was missing the game. I was just like, I kind of was hesitant at the beginning because, like, I had put all those thoughts to bed of like
Oh
football
yeah.
dreams and all that,
Try to move on,
and
huh?
try to move on because it was like it was my life for almost my entire life.
Yeah.
Um,
Huge part of your life.
100%. Like everything I did was to go play college ball and then to go to the pros. Like that's all my focus was my entire life. Um, and so I was hesitant at the beginning, but jumped into it, learned that it's what I needed. It's kind of like my escape while I'm doing this business stuff is
Mm-hmm.
going and coaching football and being with those kids, and kind of gives me another level of fulfillment,
Mm-hmm.
because I am bettering these kids' lives and careers.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
That's huge. So many questions. So after college, you jumped into this new company, you blew that up, started your own company, led you down here to Orem. I don't want to, if this is too touchy of a subject, I would want to talk about it because I feel like the transition or the realization of I'm not going to make it to the pros probably hit you really hard. Like, did you get into like some deep state of just what am I going to do with my life now? This was I tried to build my whole life up to this point. Now it's not going to happen. Uh, Can you tell me a little bit about that
Yeah,
time?
I actually I got super depressed.
Mm.
I when it hit me that like strapping up the cleats was done, I was never gonna play another down of football, and I was never gonna be able to get out there and beat someone up and enjoy it. And all my dreams were that I've worked for my entire life were done. I did go to like some pretty hardcore depression. And the thing is, like, I've always been this tough guy. Like, thought I was a tough guy. I've always thought I was a tough guy.
For sure.
Where I don't share a lot of my
Emotions.
emotions. I don't share things with people. When I'm going through pain, I like to just hold it in, bottle it up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I ended up like not sharing a lot of it and just getting into a really dark spot. Um, and honestly, what took me out of it was just the gospel.
Really?
Yeah, the gospel is what got me out of it, turning back to Christ and just realizing that there is more to life than football. As much as it was my life,
Yeah.
there really is more to life than football. And just, recentered my life on Christ. It helped
Wow.
me like dig myself back out of that deep depression state.
Man, that's impressive. Because at the time you were still up in Weaver
Yeah.
in that area, right? Were
Hmm.
you? I mean, I'm sure you had friends, you had family. Did you feel just like alone though, and like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
trying to just white knuckle this? I'm like, I can get through this. I'll be okay.
Yeah, 100%. I felt alone. There were so many people that were there for me,
Yeah.
there to help me. Um, if I had reached out or even let them know what I was going through and how I was feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did feel super alone, trying to white knuckle it, like you said, and,
Mm-hmm.
thug it out. But
Mm-hmm. Thug it
the only
out.
person that helped me thug it out was Christ. So,
Oh man, just really coming back down to earth and just like, all
yeah,
right, I can't do this by myself.
100%.
That's a big deal because I'm sure you saw this though. You probably weren't the only one in that type of situation where it's they built their whole life, they get to the D1 college career, and then all of a sudden the dreams are just like it's not attainable. I'm not gonna be able to hit it.
Yeah.
You probably see just a lot of depression, a lot of like maybe people would just feel lost and they don't really know what to do at that point. Do you see a lot of other, maybe a lot of other your teammates, did they turn to the gospel or do anything like that, or maybe they found something else that they found a purpose in?
Yeah. A lot of them, it's like you find the gospel or you find a wife. For me, I
What's
haven't
new?
found a wife yet, so it was the gospel.
Cool. That's good.
But yeah, I feel like um, every athlete who does dedicate almost their entire life to that dream and goal, and then it doesn't happen, they experience some sort of depression.
Yeah.
Um, they struggle with some mental aspect of that whole transition. So I saw a lot of teammates that did go through that were able to get through it, whether it was through the gospel or
Finding a spouse.
finding a spouse or just I don't know what else took them through it, but that's what
Yeah.
I've been able to see.
That experience that you went through, are you taking any of what you learned and applying that and helping translate that over to like the kids you're teaching now or coaching now?
Yeah, 100%. Majority of these kids that are in high school are not going to play college ball. We've got two kids on our team right now that have offers to go play on the next level
Uh-huh.
out of, our 50 kids or whatnot. And the reality is majority of those kids' career are going to end at the end of their senior
It's
year in
done.
high school.
Yeah.
And so it might not have been a long of career as mine, but they're still going to experience some sort of, mental frustration when they
Yeah.
do have that transition, and being able to kind of share some of that stuff with them that I went through, preparing them for it. That's the biggest thing, is just preparing them for it.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing that they will regret at the end is when their college or high school career or college career or football career period is done.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't give their 100% for the short time that they have to experience that or be a part of it, I feel like they have a harder time to accept the end than someone who did give it their all
Mm-hmm.
and did lay it all out there, whether it was through training, off season, practices, games, all of every part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
If they're given 110% and it doesn't work out, it's easier to come to a conclusion that it's okay that it didn't work out because you did give it your all, than someone that is like, man, maybe it could have been better. Maybe I could have
Ooh,
gone a
the
little bit
could haves.
further. All the could have start coming if they didn't give it their 110% throughout their entire career. That's helped me, get a lot more out of these kids too.
Yeah, how do you teach a kid who feels like they've got all the time in the world, right? They're just getting out of high school, they have college, they have their career just getting to get started, they're gonna find a spouse or whatever it is. How do you teach a kid and instill in him like, hey, this is it. Like this is the last time you're gonna be playing football here. And in the moment they're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Maybe get some kids who are a little bit more serious about that. But I'm sure there's a good handful that are just YOLO, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
only live once. I don't really care. But how do you teach that to kids who just have that type of mindset?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think the first thing is a culture and mentality switch. where that's the culture and mentality that we try to build at Mountain View right now is
Mm-hmm.
you whatever aspect of life that you are participating in, you go 100% in,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that mindset helps them. Like if that's the culture and that's the mindset, that is the standard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, naturally, it just they start to do that in everything and within football, and
Mm-hmm.
they agree to your teachings and whatnot. But if you also bring to them stats of there's X amount of high school football players, of those there's X amount of college and then pros, like think of how many of you guys are here on the team. If you look at that percentage of high school to college, that's only like one or two of you guys that are gonna
Tiny
be,
amount,
yeah,
right?
that
Tiny.
are gonna go play college ball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like helping them come to that realization based off of facts and stats plus a culture shift, that's been one of the biggest ways to kind of switch their mentality. Our biggest thing right now is to have like a stoic mindset
Mm-hmm.
that no matter what situation we're in, because Mountain View's been in a horrible situation for like the last 5 years. They've had horrible seasons, barely won any games. So we've got a whole new coaching staff
Mm-hmm.
that have come in. We've come to try to flip that whole mindset, and mentality to be more of like a stoic. No matter what situation we're in, we're gonna attack it. We're gonna go 110%. We're gonna give it our all. Whether it's a good situation or bad situation, we're gonna make the most out of it. And I feel like that culture shift has been, um, easily not easily accepted, but it's been accepted, by majority of the team, and it's kind of created a shift within everyone and their
Notice the
mindset.
difference
Yeah,
already.
100%.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, I know Mountain View hasn't been like the best with specifically with football, right?
yeah.
You've been doing this for a year and a half. How was it the first year that you went into it? It sounds like you're really excited about this year coming up. But the last year, how was it when you first jumped into coaching? And do you feel like these kids are really struggling? I can really excel and help in these type of situations. But that first year, how was it coaching?
Um, it it was a transition for me because the way you're coached in college is a is a lot more harsh,
I'm sure it is a
and strict, and it's way different than high school. So I came in just used to that, and so I would,
like a
if a
hard
kid,
ass.
yeah, kid did one thing wrong, I was ripping them like,
Uh-huh.
and then if he did it wrong over and over and over again, then I was just ripping them, and I felt like I chased a few kids away because of that.
Oh, I see.
Um, and so I did have to change my coaching style and kind of get used to that.
Yeah.
As I started coaching at Mountain View, because it's different. Like you're going to play in college, and you're getting basically paid because you're getting your school paid for
Right.
to play there. And if you don't do good, well, they're going to decrease your scholarship or they'll cut you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like high school, you're just going to play to have fun,
Yeah,
and
just after school stuff, right?
it's a whole different state of and reasoning behind playing. So I had to get used to that because there are kids that if I'm too hard on them and kind of too strict without explanation and without reasoning, they'll leave real quick
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have the same reasoning
Stay.
to stay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so now you've kind of fine tuned your coaching approach. I think that translates easily over to parenting as well. Because the biggest thing is you can say no to your kids all day, right?
Right.
But if you don't give them an explanation, then it's just not going to turn out well. I think the hard thing for me and my wife, we have to talk about this all the time. We have to say no, and then we have to tell them why. And that's the hard part for us because it's so easy to just be like, no, dismiss them, and then just kind of try to move on, right? But
Right.
they don't really learn that way. It sounds like that's how it is with coaching and with high school students.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like you had that type of experience when you were in high school with the coaches? I mean, when I was there, we had good coaches. Do you think they did a good job of explaining and really getting everybody on the same mindset of really trying to win and compete?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Herring was my O line coach, and he's actually the one that has helped me the most in making that transition of coaching style.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that's kind of helped point it out to me when I first started coaching. Like, hey man, like he pulled me to the side and like you're doing a really good job. You have really good intentions of why you're coaching this way and what you're telling the kids,
Right.
but take a step back with me and look and see how they're reacting and what's going on. And he's like, and he would just show me this is what I've been able to do and how I've been able to, reach the kids a little bit better in my coaching style. And so he was my coach in high school. So I felt like I did have that in high school, but then lost that transitioning from high school to college.
Yeah, because then they just got hardcore. It's like, all right, we're getting into this, and
Yeah,
you're in or you're out.
exactly.
You're gonna lose it, man. Coach
And if
Herring,
you're not in, it's the next guy up.
exactly. You can lose your spot just like that, right? And Coach Herring, man, that guy, you said it already. He's a legend. He's been there for years. His story is amazing. I would love to get him on this and just talk to him about his story.
Yeah, he is.
But he's an amazing guy, a great coach. He really shows that he cares, about all his, everyone he coaches, all of the whole football team.
Yeah, super amazing. Genuine dude.
Yeah, very impressive. Really cool that you're able to now coach with him
side by side. Crazy.
Is that weird for you?
It is a little weird, but I love it. I enjoy every moment of it. It's been he was always someone that I have always looked up to.
Yeah.
Ever since being one of his players, and it's been cool to coach next to him because there'll be times where like I'll lose it and I might drop a word that he doesn't. You know how he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like
he's a saint.
Yeah, he keeps me in check for sure because he's like one guy that I've always wanted to impress.
Yeah.
Or do good around. He just makes me a better coach and a better person. And so it's been fun going from being a player for him to being a coach next to him.
Just coaching together. That's just full circle, right? It all just coming back.
It's crazy.
Is the plan to stay in Mountain View for a while?
Yeah, as long as business keeps me down this way, I plan on staying at Mountain View that whole time.
Awesome.
We have some good things coming and going with the new staff, the youth program that we've built. I think that we've got a good feeder program from the youth to start transitioning into Mountain View. And now we have the really good staff. We've just got to get more kids to stay because you know how it is. A lot of kids want to go to Orem,
look
go
at
to
somewhere else for sure.
And it's even harder now with all the NIL stuff in college, and you can do that in high school now.
Oh, you
can? Yeah, you can do that in high school. So kids can now get NIL money, and so like,
is that new?
Yeah, that's new. It happened with all the NIL stuff with college.
I have no idea. So kids are just going out there to try to get their bag.
High school kids are getting their bag. They're leaving. They're not loyal to their city or their school anymore. It's if they can get a chance at getting their bag, they'll go get it, even though it's not quite that much of a bag.
It's something for a high schooler, though.
Right, for high school. Yeah, if you're high school and you're like, yeah, I'll go take $100 a month. Like that's a no-brainer for a lot of these kids, especially where their reasoning for playing ball isn't quite to go to the next level. It's just go ball. But
I saw that you put a camp together. Is this youth program that you're talking about? Is that what you were doing?
Part of it. So we put together an 801 Legends camp with a few of the coaches that coached with me. So Wani Unga, he played at BYU. He went on to play at the New York Giants.
Wow.
And then Alani Fua, he played at BYU, and then he went on to play for Arizona.
Does he coach at Mountain View?
He coaches at Mountain View as well. He's coaching the 9th grade team. And then Wani's the linebackers coach and assistant DC. He's basically the DC. We DC our defense together. But we kind of have this vision for Mountain View and for the future of Mountain View. And there's a lot that we have as far as knowledge, and we just wanted a ton of experience, ton of knowledge. We wanted to give back, and Alani was like, well, I know of this program that the NFL does and USA Football does that ex-NFL guys, if they run free camps for kids, they'll throw out a grant for it. So we applied for the grant, got approved, got a few more sponsors, and then ran the an 801 Legends camp. It was cool. We had ex NFL guys, current NFL guys. There was probably five current NFL guys that were there
Wow.
coaching. There were a ton of ex NFL guys that were there coaching and ex D1 guys there coaching. We had a live DJ the whole time.
How cool is that?
Had some food trucks.
That was over at Mountain View.
Yeah, that was over at the practice field at
The
Mountain View.
practice
Yeah,
field. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
it was fun. It was a good time, and that mainly was put together so that we could one give back, but then also help build the Mountain View image within the community because it has for the past 5 years not been such a good image.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things that happened with like Black Lives Matter. I don't know if you read there were stories on it like 5 years ago.
What happened?
I don't know it fully, but there was something with a coach and player and some racial stuff that was going on. Black Lives Matters came to Mountain View and did a whole protest and all that.
Whoa, I didn't know this.
Yeah, it was something big. So then the coaches that got let go, they did a whole new coaching staff. The coach that we have now, our head coach, came in to kind of fix the issues with all of that and like reset the program. So they've been in a pretty tough situation because after all that happened, kids like almost all the kids left to Timpanogos, Orem, and Timpview. And so we've been at really low numbers, but now that we've got such a good coaching staff, like we've got Aleva Hifo as our receivers coach who played at BYU,
Wow.
super successful. Fine Unga, running backs coach, he played at Weber State, then he played in the league for a while. Tui Unga, who's our OC, he played at University of Hawaii. We've got a lot of D1 and ex NFL guys, some really good experience of like guys that have experience, but that can also coach the game. Sometimes you'll get guys who've played at a high level, but can't really teach what they've been able to learn or what they went through. So we've been able to build a really good staff. Now we're just trying to rebuild the image of Mountain View and the culture of Mountain View in the community and get players to come there. Because once we can start getting players to come back and be there, I think we could be a really good, a serious,
right?
100%.
Wow, that's so okay. So I graduated 2010, and my experience with football, I think it was awesome. It was fun. Get out there and compete and play with people. Nothing like what you're talking about right now, though. And this is no dig at the previous coaches or anything because they did what they thought was best, and it was good in the moment. But what you guys have going now that's a like whole 180. It's completely different. All the experience that you're bringing in, the coaches that you're bringing in, the actual programs that you guys are doing to really invest in the community, because it sounds like you're just trying to build a foundation, right? The foundation, and that's just going to start building on top of itself to make excel Mountain View, because really Mountain View's got a lot of potential. It's just
100%.
These other three schools surrounding, they're just like, those are the prestigious schools. You want to go there, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're trying to get Mountain View to that point, which is super exciting. So for this year, how you have any? Is it too early to predict what you guys' season's going to look like?
If we can stay healthy, because we are very low in numbers, almost all of our starters on the defense are also our starters on the offense. Like almost
both ways.
Yeah, everyone's playing both ways. And so as long as we can stay healthy, because we are low in numbers, I could see us having a really good winning season. Last year, Mountain View had only won 3 games. The years before, they'd only won 1 game each year. So, our first year as a DC, we had, tripled the games won. But I predict, at least, 6 to 7 games won if we can stay healthy, because we have the coaching, the scheme, and the talent, but it's very thin.
Can't afford to lose anybody.
No, and so I think we're going to switch up the practice style. It won't be the traditional, full pads all the time, and maybe we'll probably switch it up and try to adjust our practice and conditioning style so that we can keep the kids healthy longer.
Dang, that's kind of it's crazy that you're in this world. I mean, it seems like you just so naturally just jumped into it. Did you ever think you would be coaching?
Um, I didn't. I didn't. I love the game. I thought there was maybe a chance for it. After like the football dreams of playing had been crushed,
Yeah,
but then when I had gone on to business and started at that startup, and then moved on to starting up my own business, during those times, like I had no thought of coaching again or
football
playing
was just
being
out of the
included.
mind.
Yeah, football was out of the mind.
Wow.
Um, but
Well, tell me about your business then. So you
yeah,
started this own venture. It's a marketing company. What do you guys do exactly?
yeah. So we do retention marketing. Because the software that we started up um, back in 2016 was it was like a text message marketing software.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that we grew and blew up. Um, when we left that with a lot of industry knowledge in retention marketing and with text message marketing, our agency is focused solely on retention marketing. So we do email marketing, text message marketing, and like push notifications,
Mm.
all marketing to get clients back into the business.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. The retention. I feel like retention, at least my experience in business, retention is probably one of the harder things of this. You can sell all day long, you can get a lot of clients, but it's like if you have a good service and don't have a good service, whatever it may be, people leave. The
Right.
retention is actually the hardest part. I
Yeah.
think that's what makes or breaks it. There's a lot of things that you do, but that's one thing that makes or breaks a company. So, what made you want to get into this one specifically? Did you just have a buddy who had an idea, or you guys had an idea and just jumped into it, or how did that work out?
For the agency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we had left um, my buddy who co-founded the software company,
Mm-hmm.
who brought me and one of our other homies on um, to run the sales team and kind of start up the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
He left the company. We followed him pretty soon after, and then we all decided to start up our own thing together. So all three of us partnered on this marketing agency, and now this marketing agency has kind of turned into a holding company where we own a few different businesses.
Oh, whoa. What kind of businesses are they kind of under wraps right now that you're
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of under wraps
Hey,
right
we
now.
won't dive into that then.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did you ever think you were like back in high school? Did you ever think that you would get into some sort of business?
Um, in high school, no, I actually wanted to do engineering.
Engineering,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, I
Okay.
wanted to do some type of engineering. Electrical is what I wanted to do.
And what happened to that?
Um, it's funny because so when I started up at Weaver State, I was in the electrical engineering degree.
Uh-huh.
It requires so many credits that like you have to have a certain progress towards your degree, a certain percentage of it done each year, um,
Or they drop you or what?
or you're ineligible to play football.
Oh,
And so I was already behind because after the mission, I had to restart math and all of that.
oh yeah,
Um, but I was able to test up to some of the like higher maths.
yeah.
English, I had to go back to the bottom. But it was my sophomore year of football. I was in my calculus 3 class during the season, failed my calculus 3 class and one of my advanced electrical engineering courses. I failed both of those classes. Failing those two classes put me behind the progress towards degree.
Oh shoot.
And so I had to make a quick switch to be eligible for playoffs.
Oh,
Um,
this was during playoffs too.
yeah.
Oh shoot.
So the switch was to professional sales, which accepted like everything, and the progress, like the amount of credits it took for graduation wasn't very much, and I was able to make the switch and um, be eligible.
Dang.
So
Okay, so engineering was out the door just because of eligibility at that point, where it's like, okay, I got to make a quick decision, and
yeah,
you got into the sales.
right.
Did you initially like the sales degree?
Yeah, I like building relationships with people.
Okay.
Um, I like negotiations. I like all that stuff, and I was able to like realize that I had some type of passion in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it was like I accepted it pretty quick, um, and just ran with it. I enjoyed it, but honestly, like retirement after everything, like if football's done, if my businesses are done, and like I'm just chilling, I feel like I would go do electrical engineering again just for fun. It
Get
was
back
so
into
fun.
it. Really, you really
Yeah,
enjoyed it that much.
I enjoyed it.
What brought you to that? That's such a it's a very specific thing to like.
My dad was an electrician all growing up, so I was around the electrical side of things, and then math has always been my favorite subject. I love numbers and all of that, and so it just kind of connected
Mm-hmm.
engineering and electrical, and wanted to be an electrical engineer.
And that's how it took off. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so two questions that I always like to ask kind of towards the end of these conversations is one is if your younger self saw where you're at right now, how do you think they would react?
My younger self would be one. It would be proud, because of how far I've come with the transition of dreams and
Mm-hmm.
focus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would also be disappointed because I didn't make it to the NFL.
I get
100%. I
that.
know my younger
Really?
me would have been like,
Dude, you were
man, you.
fighting for that.
I was fighting for it. I was
Dang.
fighting for it, and I low key gave up like at the end there.
Really?
But it all happens for a reason. I've kind of come to terms with it and have accepted it,
Mm-hmm.
and have run with the situation I'm in now, and I feel like I've been able to excel in everything else that I've gone to do since then.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so proud. Initial probably just some disappointment, like, oh man, we didn't make it to the league. But
Yeah,
it's like, hey, we're in a really good spot right now too,
yeah,
so that
for
works.
sure.
That's awesome. All right, second question I always like to ask is, well, if you could go back to your past self, high school self, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Um, it would be not to listen to the opinion of others as much.
Oh, really? Tell me
Yeah,
about that.
that that was one of the biggest reasons why I did give up on my dream of playing to the NFL was, listening to the comments and the opinions of others, whether it was like a coach
Mm-hmm.
or other players or people just standing on the side, seeing where I was at, what I'm doing. Listened to that a little bit too much and kind of.
Like they were saying that you couldn't make it, or you?
Yeah, exactly. I had
Oh,
so
really?
I haven't shared this. I've shared this with one other person,
Oh, okay, nice.
but there was a going into my senior year. Um, there was a coach who told me basically that I wasn't good enough to make it to the next level, to the NFL,
Hey,
and said, don't do the Wonderlic test if if there's no chance of you making it. Like
what's the
don't
Wonderlic
waste the test.
test?
It's like a, I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but it's like an IQ test that they do before the season for all the seniors, um, and all the NFL does it for everyone who's trying to go on to the next level. So you'll have a like a Wonderlic score,
And just test
and
how.
it tests your IQ,
Oh, wow.
um, and your smarts, as well as then you do combine and you have all that
The
testing.
physical stuff, right?
Yeah,
So this coach was saying just like don't do it. It's not worth it.
basically saying don't do it. It's not worth
Oh
it.
my gosh, that's
I didn't go take the test.
you didn't do
I
it.
didn't go to I didn't even go and take the test. But I was like one of our best players. Like I was like it was weird. It just like
Dude.
shot my dreams down. And then after that, it was like people, I heard people talking about, you're getting injured, you have all these injuries,
Yeah.
it's better to have, uh, a, be able to like physically, interact with your kids in the future. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you might not be able to, and this and that.
So just a
Um,
lot of doubt was just coming in
a
at that
lot of
point from a
doubt,
lot of different
a
directions.
lot of doubt. But at the same time, I had a lot of people who were giving me the opposite, feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I listened more to the negative comments and opinions
Mhm.
than I did the positive ones. And so my feedback would probably be block out the negative comments and opinions and accept the positive ones that kind of help you push you towards your goals, your dreams, or whatever it is you're doing.
That's such good advice, especially to somebody who's in college or in high school, because those are the years that you're so malleable to what people
Yeah.
think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially high school. Like, man, high school is insane because the cool group, the cliques, the where you're trying to be and how you're trying to be seen. Somebody says something, and man, that negative comment just stays with you for a super long time. And same thing with college too, right? You have a coach who's super impressionable coaching you and just says, "Hey, don't do it." Damn, that's heavy. That's some heavy stuff. And you mentioned that you had some injuries though. Did you what kind of injuries did you have during your career?
Yeah, my senior year, I had a torn rotator cuff and labrum
Shoot,
throughout like the whole season. I had plantar fasciitis that started acting up a few games in and had it throughout the whole season.
you played with that the whole
I
season?
played with it the whole
Oof.
season. It was bad. It was rough. And then my ankle, I had some torn ligaments in my ankle that needed surgery. Um,
Jeez.
but
How are you feeling now that you're out of it? Does your body feel like it's been resting, it's been healing?
yeah, it feels good. But I just need to get back in shape. Is the only thing. Like I've allowed my body to heal up. It does feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Um, as far as like ligaments and joints and all of that.
Yeah.
But I have got out of shape. I need to get back in shape.
Cardio, the
Cardio,
yeah.
all that lifting. I got pretty strong in college,
Tell me your
but
numbers, man. What were you pushing those days?
bench was 455 was the max that I hit.
455.
Yeah, squat wasn't the best squatter. I hit like 340 or not
Okay.
340, 540.
340. I wasn't gonna say anything,
No, no.
but
I
540. Okay.
540
Dude,
was
that's pretty
my
respectable.
squat, but everyone else was D linemen were squatting like 600 pounds. Like
Unreal,
yeah,
dude.
they were
My
oxid.
gosh.
I was just a natural bencher. Um, clean. I think my highest clean was like 360 something,
Jeez,
365.
dude.
Um,
Just moving that weight super
yeah,
easy.
deadlift. You don't deadlift in college because the risk to reward is
I was gonna ask you about that. I
yeah,
keep seeing a lot of those things. Like it's not worth it, right?
yeah. You don't deadlift in college.
Not worth it. It's just
Yeah,
super susceptible to
injury.
injury, right?
Yeah,
Dang.
but you do a lot of Olympic lifts, but they focus a ton on technique before they let you start putting on big
Any
weight.
sort of weight, huh?
Yeah.
Dang. So what's the plan now physically? Do you have plans to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to hit this, whether it's like a weight goal or a cardio, like I want to run a mile or any like do you have any goals or any
Yeah, so my first goal was to do a half marathon,
oh,
which I did in June.
oh you did?
Yeah, I did a
Just
half
last month?
marathon. Yeah,
Dude,
I did
congrats, it's huge.
half marathon last month, which absolutely killed me, but
Yeah, how was that?
it was tough. I did it down in Moab, and it was so hot.
Oh dude, I can only
It
imagine.
was like sandy. Like I'd take 5 steps, and it felt like I took two.
Wait, you're running in the sand?
Yeah, it was basic. It was a trail run.
Oh,
It was a trail
dude.
run. It was tough,
Damn, dude.
but I think trying to do some more half marathons and better my times, and as well as hitting a goal weight.
What's the goal weight if you don't mind me asking?
Goal weight, honestly, this year I'd like to get down to like under 300.
Nice.
But goal weight by like that I really want to get down to is like 230.
230,
If I
dude.
could get down to
That's
230
nice.
and still push the weight that I can
Oh,
push,
dude, you'd be
I feel
jacked,
like I'd
dude. You're
be,
huge, dude.
the Rock Jr. over here.
Yeah, you can be a stunt
Maybe
double.
I'd look like you.
No way, dude. I'm nowhere near that. Probably Johans because he's
Yeah,
pushing some
he is.
serious weight, dude.
He's looking
Oh my
stacked,
gosh,
man.
he's super strong. It's consistent, man. It's
Yeah,
just
that's what it
people.
is.
I go work out with him. People come up to him all the time. It's like, "What's the secret, man? How you doing this? What's your bench and what's your mat, whatever?" And he's like, "I've just been doing this for like 4 years,
Yep.
just like consistent every single day." And they're just like, "Oh, okay." because they want some magic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is the program that I'm doing. This is what I'm eating. This is what I'm taking. It's like I'm just working out every single day.
Dude, that's the key for everything, man. Is
Yeah,
consistency.
yeah, which is crazy.
Whether it's weightlifting, getting strong, trying to be successful in business, coaching, being
Everything,
a
dude.
good player. It's all about consistency, putting in those daily efforts.
That's what it really comes down to, huh?
Yeah.
That's wild. Well, Felipe, 50 minutes, dude. That went by really fast. I really appreciate you
Yeah.
jumping on. I know there's a lot of back and forth with schedules and stuff, and I'm glad we finally made it work out.
For sure, brother.
I'll come.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, this was fun. I'll come over to Mountain View games. When do those start up?
Second week of August is when our first game is. That
Oh,
one will be
shoot.
down in Cannon View in Cedar City, and then the week
Whoa.
after that we'll be back home. So probably like third, fourth week of August.
That's not too far away.
Not too far away. It's right around the corner.
Dang, are you guys ready then? You guys feeling good?
Yeah, feeling good. I love football season.
Damn, dude, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah,
that is super exciting.
Yeah,
cool.
it'll
I'll
be
be there
fun.
for the next home game. You said who's the second game?
I believe it's Ben Lomond. They're coming down
Ben
from
Lomond.
Ogden.
Oh, all the way up in Ogden?
Yeah.
This is preseason. You guys are just
Yeah, this will be those are preseason games.
I gotcha. That's crazy. Dang, man. Well, I'll be there. I'm excited to see Mountain View excel because our year, I think we barely had a winning season.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes for you guys this year. That's exciting. A lot of exciting things.